Right, so before we saw how we created this animation using keyframes and the graph editor and trying to smooth everything out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a couple of other little things that will help you finesse this and make it look a little bit better. So what I'm going to try and do is going to try and make this deform when it hits the here, because what you want it to do is kind of do that, compress a little bit to make it look as if it's kind of really bouncing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the scale. So I'm going to put a keyframe, the scale, exactly on this, the same place that the position keyframe is, and I'm going to unlink the X and the Y, because if you do that the same and you click on this, it just makes everything bigger at the same time. We don't want to do that. We want to do the X and Y. The X is across and Y is up and down. So when it bounces, what we want it to do is we want it to compress. So when it hits, gets smaller, but it would kind of go out at the same time. So it would go boing, and then what it would do is it would right itself. So it would do that and then go like that. So it would come down, compress, right itself, and then it would probably come back to this keyframe, which is when it's 100% and 100%. So I'm going to copy and paste that, and paste will paste back wherever this time indicator is. So now excuse me, when we play it, it will do that, do a little wobble. So I'm going to take those keyframes and I'm going to copy them. And so when it does its next bounce, it'll be here. And so now exactly these same properties are copied. But the thing I need to do is I need to make it less bouncy because it's carrying less energy. Oops, sorry. And then when we go on to here, it will do less of a stretch. So it will do less of that because it won't be as exaggerated. So when we play that, and then these ones I am going to do manually. So because I'm worried that this is going to get too distorted. So I just want to do a tiny bit because it's only bouncing a little bit. And then I'm just going to bring it back to its natural state. And that's probably enough. And then we play that. It just gives it a little bit of life. And then and the scale is not correct, so we need to make that right. There we go. So that's given it a little bit of life. Now the other thing that we need to, what I did on the other videos that should be on the site are that I had a little word that was linked to it. So I wrote, I used the text tool here, and I wrote, this is a bouncing ball. Bouncing, sorry, a bouncing ball. And there isn't any space between these words, so I need to increase that. I'll just turn it to auto. So that's made it better. So here's my bouncing ball, and what I want to do is I want this to go along with this ball all the way along to the end. So it's like a label, and it does everything that this one does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nice place like here, and I am going to say that this is a good point for it to follow the ball. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to parent this bouncing ball, well, this text to the ball. And what you do is you have this. You have a parent-child relationship. So anywhere that the ball goes, the bouncing ball text goes with it. And it's called a parent-child relationship. And I will show you very quickly how that works. I will create a sphere. I will create a rectangle, and I will create another rectangle. And I'm just going to change the colors of these so it's a bit easier to see. Okay, and I'm going to click this one and turn it into another color. So this is how it works. So this one is going to be the top one of the chain. So we're going to rename this and we're going to call it a parent. And then this one we're going to rename it and we're going to call it older brother. And then we're going to call this one younger brother. So this is the parent, and this is called a pick whip, and this we're going to click it here, and then it will say what's happening. So this is parented, this is the parent of this, and then we can go here and say this is the parent of this, or we can say this is the older brother of that. So what will happen if we grab this? They will all move, because this guy is, imagine they're all holding hands. This is holding the hand of the parent, and this little guy is holding the hand of this little guy. So if I was to move this one, it moves this one, but the parent doesn't move. So we take this, and we can move it about, and we can do that, and move it about. We take this and move it about, but they don't move. And why is this useful? Well, what it means is that we can, I'll just move the pivot into the middle. So imagine if this was an arm, and then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to give that a pivot, which is going to be, say, at the shoulder, very simply. And then I'm going to grab this one down here and I'm going to give that a pivot point, which is going to be here. So if we were to rotate this, it goes like this. So if we wanted to make this a shoulder and do a movement where we can start animating things. So I'm going to select all of them, press Shift, press R, it will bring up the rotation, and I'm going to just keyframe the whole lot. And then this guy is going to rotate. If I actually select the rotate tool, that would be helpful. And what it's going to do is the parent is going to rotate, and then I'm going to set a keyframe. So this is going to rotate here, and then this guy is going to rotate here, and then this guy is going to rotate here. So, zooming in. So that's what's happening. And then we can go here, grab this guy, and then grab this guy, and grab this guy. So we get a form of animation. We get a form of something called kinemation, which is kinetic animation, and that's kind of how most feature films are done. All of the 3D animation in most films is done like this, but obviously within 3 dimensions, and they have a 3-dimensional shape, and then these things have got parent-child relationships. In fact, what I will do really quickly is I will show you in the 3D software that I use how that is done. It's pretty simple. If you're interested, you might not be, but I'll show you anyway. It would take a while to load up because this is a very slow piece of software, and it's slow to load up, but it's pretty quick once you're in it. And what you can do is you can create bones, and you can create shapes, and I'll show you that really quickly once it starts up. This is called Maya, which is pretty much an industry standard piece of software, and it's 3D, so you can move around the area and you can create shapes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into a 4 shape, and I am going to create a very simple cylinder, which is here, and I'm just going to do some stuff that you probably don't need to know about, but I'm going to show you what it looks like by turning on the shading so that you can see what it actually looks like. And so if I go in here, then here is my shape, and it's, you know, what can I say? It's a very interesting shape, and so I am just going to just kind of muck around with some of the bits of it and get rid of various parts because I don't need the end bits. I'm just going to get rid of those, and then I'm going to take my shape and I'm going to add some more sections to it, and then I'm going to scale it and do stuff like that. So here is my shape, which is not hugely exciting, but there you go. And then what you can do is you can go into here and you can create bones, and these are bones, and then you stick it like this, and these bones can be animated, and you can take these and you can start doing this. And then once you take this whole shape and you I'm going to do it very, very quickly, and then you can take this and then you can do that. So when you go into here, you can see what they look like, and so you can start animating kind of things. And so you could imagine building fingers and all of that kind of stuff, and you can move all of this stuff around in 3 dimensions, and basically that's how 3D animation is done, which is going slightly off topic, but the whole point of it is that you have these bones, and so you can create extra ones and like this, and so these things kind of, if you grab the master one and you move it around, then all of the children come with it, because that's how 3D animation works. But that's for another lesson maybe. And so that's it.